Hello and welcome to On the Ledge podcast. So glad to have you here with me because today we are going on another journey. If you've not travelled in the Terrarium Time Machine before, let me explain. Yes, I have a time machine. Yes, it's made out of a terrarium. So when you step inside, it's full of plants and it can take us anywhere to visit any garden in the world at any time. What a treat. The good news is that I can take all of you along with me. Where are we going today? Well, step inside and let me tell you all about our destination. Yeah, this way, come through. Keep to the paths. Anthony, there's a watering can on the floor just over there near Judy, the bird's nest fern. Please, could you just give her some water because it's been hot in here and she's feeling a bit parched. Thanks, Anthony. Let me just shut the door. Now everyone's in. Right, everything is set and I will tell you where we're going when we arrive. Everyone feeling okay? Take a beat, relax, while I tell you a little bit about where and when we are. We are in the village of Broad Chalke in Wiltshire. Now, for those of you not familiar with the geography, we are in southwest England, about 8 miles west of Salisbury. And when are we? Well, unfortunately, the Terrarium Time Machine is a little bit inaccurate, but I think we should have landed around the early 1960s and it's definitely August. Thanks everyone for putting on your 1960s gear. You all look amazing. There's definitely a couple of you who could pass for a fifth Beatle. And Jackie, that's an absolutely gorgeous caftan. Just remember, please keep your phones hidden. Don't take any photographs. We don't want anyone to figure out that we're not actually from the 1960s. Now, what do we know about Broad Chalke? Well, it's a village, population approximately 556. That's according to the 1961 census. And probably its best known resident is Cecil Beaton, CBE. And we've landed in his garden at Reddish House on South Street, where he has lived since 1947 when he bought this place for £10,000. And he lived here until 1980 when he died, and he was buried less than 200 yards from where we are now at All Saints Church, a little bit further along South Street. Now, he's a CBE at this point. He doesn't become Sir Cecil Beaton until 1972. Now, we've landed conveniently hidden away in the midst of the cutting garden, which is in full bloom right now. But if you look over there out the glass, you will see Reddish House. Now, this is a Queen Anne country home set in the beautiful countryside of the Chalke Valley, and it's an absolute jewel box of a house. Now, Cecil Beaton has spent quite a lot of money and time restoring the house, putting his own stamp on it, but as you can see, it's the epitome of the British country retreat, with roses blooming all over the walls of the house and plenty of space outside for an English gentleman at play. So let's make our way into the house and we're going to sneak into the winter garden. Follow me. Now, I know a few of you may not have heard of Cecil Beaton, so let me give you a brief bio of this stylish, creative man. He was a photographer, an illustrator, a writer, a diarist, a theatre designer, and an art director. He took fashion photographs, war photographs during World War II, and was well known within the covers of Vogue magazine. And he knew anyone who was worth knowing, and many of them visited Reddish House. Cecil's great friend Greta Garbo came and stayed for 6 weeks. Bianca Jagger, Truman Capote, Francis Bacon, Lucian Freud, David Hockney. He knew them all. Now, I don't think Cecil is in residence right now. I think he may be in his London house. But over there on the other side of the cutting garden, I think I can see John, better known as Jack Smallpiece, who was Cecil's gardener here for more than 20 years, and the man responsible for putting all of Cecil Beaton's beautiful garden moments into effect. Oh, and yes, Cecil Beaton loved pugs, and I think this might be his pug, Simba. Not entirely sure of the name. Anyway, he seems very friendly. Hello. I'm not sure if he's excited to see us or just acting like a tiny guard dog. But we'll just carry on and hope he warms to us. I think he's probably missing his master. Right, let's head into the garden room. And if anyone's listening back to this trip and was unable to join us in person, you can see links to the images of the winter garden as it was in the 1960s at the show notes at janeperrone.com. Here we are. Let's go into the winter garden. Cecil redid this room in the mid-1950s, working with designer Felix Harbord. Now, this has been called the heart of Reddish House, and you can see why. And as you can see, this room's got this beautiful black and white tiled floor above us. As we know, as houseplant people, we need light, so we've got this incredible glass dome ceiling, lots of windows. I just love the choice of that yellow paint for the window frames. It looks magnificent. Just through there is the drawing room where Cecil would entertain his guests, but many of them were also photographed here in the winter garden. The walls of the drawing room are a deep wine red, and the design is distinctly Edwardian. And if you've seen any of Cecil Beaton's stage designs, it may be familiar to you. Cecil Beaton himself described this room as my Lady Windermere's fan decor drawing room. So do feel free to have a look around the drawing room once we've finished in here. But back to the winter garden, where we really do have a rather different feeling to the room. And what a setting with these beautiful wicker peacock chairs, which I believe came from the deep south, and the plants are growing up bamboo trellises. And if you're careful, you can take a seat on the porcelain garden seats in the amazing blue and white Chinese designs. Or, yes, have a wander around. Just be careful of the pond. And this pond is in the shape of a quatrefoil, which is a classic Moorish design, which you'll recognise if you've ever been to parts of Spain or the Middle East or Turkey. Simba, I don't think you're meant to be drinking out of the pond. Watch out for the goldfish. And yes, there's also some mimosa trees in here. Now, I do know that in his famous diaries, which I do recommend that you go and read, they're wonderfully gossipy and starry and occasionally waspish. In 1956, when Cecil was working on the musical of My Fair Lady, he writes to Eileen to ask if he can get a mimosa tree for the winter garden. And indeed, here they are, looking absolutely gorgeous. There are so many plants here that I absolutely love. The dramatic Rex begonias, that big Sparmania in the corner with its beautiful big fuzzy leaves, a really great plant for conservatories. The jasmine clothing the wall so beautifully, and of course those bright, vivacious pelargoniums which look so wonderful in this space. You may have noticed that there's this very distinctive planter in the room with, is it an angel? And the planter is made of the wings. I think Cecil used this a lot for growing spring bulbs, but he was also not afraid, as you can see, to bring in plants from this amazing cutting garden at Reddish House. And he's got some beautiful electric blue delphiniums on display right now. And this beautifully curated space looks like a stage because, well, it really was a stage. So many famous people photographed here by Cecil, who was by this point in his 60s but still very much a style icon. So what can we learn about indoor gardening from Cecil? Well, he's not here to tell us, unfortunately, but here's my take. Cecil was a stage designer, so he saw every plant not only as a plant but also as a piece of set design that he could use to set the mood. And all the senses are catered for here, from the sound of the running water from the pond to the scent of the jasmines and lilies, the feel of the various textures of the leaves, and of course the beautiful light coming into the windows from above and the side from the garden. It's a really useful exercise to think of your room as a stage set. What mood do you want to create? And what raw materials in the form of plants and other decor do you want to use to set that mood? Of course, he was involved in the practical elements of gardening when he was here at Reddish House, and Cecil was sometimes to be found digging in the borders and working with Mr. Smallpiece on new designs. So he was a hands-on gardener, but he also thought like an artist, like a creator. And that meant that if anything didn't look right, if anything didn't suit the mood, it wouldn't just sit there. It would be edited. This collection of plants was constantly being edited, added to, adjusted to suit Cecil's creative vision. And I think that's something we can all learn from. And it's worth acknowledging that although this was very much a place of work for Cecil, it was also his haven and his place of tranquility. London, Paris, New York, the French Riviera. He travels around the world, but there is no place that Cecil Beaton prefers to be than his own home and garden. And in 1955 he wrote in his diary, "Here the pressure is relaxed. Even if my windows are shut, the clear country air seeps into my soul. I am able to read, write and think, and it is here that I give my subconscious an opportunity to assert itself." Now from here you can spill outside into the garden. I think we can probably get away with a few more minutes to wander around. If you do see Mr. Smallpiece, just start talking about roses and you'll be absolutely fine. I'm afraid there's no time to take tea, delightful though that tea tray there looks. Right, we'll meet back here in 5 minutes. If anyone stops and asks, you're a reporter from the Architectural Digest, okay? That's your cover story. See you in 5. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed this trip to Reddish, brief though it may be. Let's head back to the Terrarium Time Machine now. because we don't want her to run out of juice before we get home. Well, thank you so much for joining me on our little trip today. If you're listening to this back and you didn't get the chance to come along, as I said before, do check out the show notes where you can learn lots more about Cecil Beaton through the links that I've included and the images that you can find about his career and his incredible life. And I do recommend that you go and read his diaries, which are intensely entertaining. I'll put links for those as well. And you know what? It's inspired me to think about getting hold of some seeds of Ipomea Heavenly Blue and try growing them in my conservatory. Well, that's all for this week's show. I will be back next week. And if you've got somewhere you want the Terrarium Time Machine to take us, please let me know. Just drop a line to ontheledgepodcast@gmail.com. Until our next trip, have a great week with you and your plants. Bye. The music you heard in this episode was Whistle by Benjamin Banger and Beethoven, which was, I believe, one of Cecil Beaton's favourite classical composers, and we heard his Piano Sonata No. 15 in D major, Opus 28, Pastoral, played by Corinne Gilanian.